and Capelli Finn, right? And then we turn right at that T-junction and come back down to Michael Show.
Motorbiking. 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 Motorcycling. Moving on the Queen's Highway, looking like a streak of lightning.
Now you can take me for a spin on the bike.
You gonna film?
Here's to the next 50.
No,
Inshallah.
we'll do another one.
Inshallah.
If
Catch him
only, if only.
Okay.
Lee, smile if you want to be in the front.
Okay.
Cheers.
Can you,
Next.
Can everyone see? Whoa, God, this is for the launch of the annual Steve Sack British Bike Run 2004.
There's no sound on
See you
that.
next year.
There's no sound on
He's
that
filming.
one.
It's wonderful, it's wonderful, it's wonderful. Good luck, my baby. It's wonderful, it's wonderful, it's wonderful. I dream of you. Chips, chips. Do 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 do. Chi-boom. Do 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 do. Chi-boom, chi-boom, boom. Do 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 do. Via, via. Vieni via con me.
I went once or twice, hopefully to try and find a girl, but never. I actually did. I met a girl. She said, "What are you interested in?" I said, "Music." She said, "Okay." She said, "I'm interested in football. If you come to a football match, I'll come to a concert with you." So I said, "All right." She took me to see Arsenal versus Leeds.
No.
I couldn't understand what these people were screaming about. Right. Then I said, "Okay, all right. I've done the football match." I said, "Will you come to the concert?" She said, "No, no." She said, "Actually, I'm seeing someone else now."
No.
So I had to endure my only football match. I can't think of any other South African male I know. In fact, any male I know that have never barbecued anything, other than me.
You don't barbecue?
No.
You know, you eat charcoal and you don't know how to barbecue. What more
No.
do you want?
That's it. Explains a lot about him.
It does. Do you ever enjoy an event without having a camera?
No.
Doing what?
No, I enjoy a bit whether I have a camera in my hand or not. Oh, it's nice to record things.
You can get involved by.
I'd just like to introduce what we're about to do is that in honour of my 50th birthday, for which my closest friends in the world have materialised from various corners of the earth.
Unofficially known as JBC.
At which
Plus honorary member.
I feel hugely honoured by this.
He's
the
our
fact
token
that they've all
tailpipe.
chosen to come to my, the fact that they've all chosen to come to my beloved college to honour the event is extremely meaningful to me. And what I'd like to do to mark it for posterity on videotape, provided I don't
I feel right.
I don't wipe over it, is to allow each person to in turn recount how they met me and what was it that having met me then persuaded them to continue meeting me for as many years as most of you have. Starting with perhaps Philip, who has an interesting tale.
Many years ago,
Camera closer.
when I was about 24, something like that, I was stalling out selling any rubbish that I could find from the tail ends of auctions, and I had an enormous stall out on a free market in Swiss Cottage. And
He had the biggest store in the entire tennis court was Philip's junk.
Somewhere along the line, I've
Eric
met
Nivo
this
is
strange
challenging
chap called Oliver Blatchford at university who wafted around with a sort of corrugated iron hair and a long caftan and no shoes because he had a rare skin disease on his feet. And meantime, Steve Sack had been going down a curved hill in Hampstead and had hit a laundry van, was it? What was it? He hit something like a... had come back to South Africa to recuperate, having left South Africa to avoid the military service because he wasn't interested in the news and he couldn't do anything about it anyway. And it wasn't an issue. So, and Oliver Blatchford, in his infinite wisdom, decided there was some kind of spurious connection because he had a broken leg, as you can see there. See the scars of the leg? Look, extreme close up, scars of the leg. And I had the broken wrist, and here it is. This is the wrist. And that's the leg.
The cleaners were instructed that under no circumstances were they supposed to touch any material unless it was on the floor, in which case they could throw it away. And that's exactly what they'd done. They'd found a whole pile of film on the floor which they thought was just gash. stuck it in a bin bag, and out it went. And
he had these very strange things in the house. I don't know if any of you saw these sort of things. He had this sort of, it was
Enamel sign.
Enamel sign. No, it wasn't an enamel sign. It was a sign from a lady's hairdresser which said permanent waving on it, and he attached a hand to the side of it. And when you actually turned the machine on, this hand at the side of the thing would go up like this, permanently waving. So I thought, oh, interesting gentleman.
well, there he is, out in the yard of Limegrove Studios, going through bin bags of film, holding it up to the light, trying to find the missing bit, and astonishingly actually found it. I mean, it was really quite remarkable. It was obviously filthy.
He's got a good nose for a news story.
I mean, just incredible, and it actually got broadcast. But
It sounds like me. Yeah. Okay. And anybody else with a story, Jonathan?
I was drawn to Stephen purely on pity.
I've seen such a poor set of
I
measures.
had a referral from Monsieur Marc of this chap who turns up looking decidedly nervous, I think is an understatement, and transpires that the only way he's sleeping at the moment is by gargling with Southern Comfort. And apparently swallowing it as well, I'm sure, afterwards.
I first met Steve at the Triumph Factory. For a while, did we have consecutive bike number plates? Or pretty close. A pretty formulaic occasion, except one bright spark who demanded immediately to meet the engineer who had designed the bike on the basis that the gauge or the viewing glass, where you could actually see the level of oil, was at such a ridiculous situation that this chap needed to be sort of singled out for particular treatment. And I thought this was actually the most pertinent question and the most interesting one raised the whole afternoon, and I made it a purpose to seek this fellow out and make his acquaintance, and that's how I met Steve. And
where you said, let's go to Marseille, and I said, why? You said, because it's the World Cup, and I'm going to go see the World Cup. I said, fine, as long as I don't need to go and watch the football, I'm prepared to drive to May.
Well, we both fell in love with going over the Alps on motorbikes to the famous Col de Galibier, which is part of the Tour de France.
We got down to Eric's friend's house, which is a lovely little house on the beachfront. I walk in and see the most fantastically highly carved cast iron grate inside a French marble surround, covered in 200 years of paint, you know, ½ an inch thick. But I could see that underneath this paint there was marvellous detail which had been obscured by all this grunge over the years. So I said, well, why do you guys go to the football? Why don't you take me down to the decorating shop? I can get some paint stripper. Yes. Paint stripper and a wire brush, and you go, well, I'll clean the stove.
I present to you Mr. Stevenson.
Quite a piece of cheese.
There's only one remaining. I wonder if you've managed to drag up an anecdote from your bowels.
I was just thinking, well, Steve and I met in the press club in Hanoi, 68, just before the fall. Steve was reporting direct from the DMZ. He was worried about the Chinese forces coming down. Perhaps the balance of power was swinging away from the Western Alliance. Couldn't give a shit, went home. When 82 I met you and met this. Let's go to concerts. Why? Because Denise has got this bloke and he only goes to concerts. Oh, can we eat after? I don't think he eats. Everyone eats, so I probably went to the Pudenders or something like that. And I went to a Chinese restaurant in Wembley where the main courses were almost £3.50, and Steve had never seen anything like that in his life. And spent the whole meal telling us how many bits of wood he could buy for the price of the main course. So rather than have chicken in yellow bean sauce, I could have a 4x8x7, and got on like a house on fire ever since.
Yes, there's also a true story which I've never been allowed to forget. In fact, at the time I was constructing the bathroom on a high.
You had a wood fetish that did not become the meal.
On a tiny budget, I was putting this bathroom together, and it was meaningful to me that, you know, 3 more planks would complete the bathroom floor.
Not everyone makes that direct association at the menu, though.
When I first came to the country, I went without food to go and see music. You know, so it has to be said that
with people who were hungry, though.
Certain level of eccentricity. Anyway, guys, I think that just about probably wraps up the anecdote.